Nestlé wants to open a water bottling plant in the Gorge, and the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife applied for a license today that would pave the way for that to happen.
Protesters in Los Angeles have demanded the company Nestlé stop its water bottling operations.
Would you agree with me that your product should not be used with...
Last month, the Irish government reduced the levels it plans to charge and promised to keep water rates low, but the issue has touched a raw nerve among austerity-weary people.
Water, the very thing that sustains life, falls freely from the sky, covers 71% of our planet, and flows from our taps at almost no cost. Yet somehow, we willingly spend billions every year to drink it from a plastic bottle. How did we get here? Corporate giants like Nestlé, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo have mastered the art of manipulation, turning an essential human right into a premium product. They extract water from public sources for pennies, repackage it with sleek branding, and sell it back to us at thousands of times its actual cost, all while making us believe it's cleaner, safer, and superior to tap water. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Many bottled water brands source their product from the same municipal supplies that feed your tap. So why do we keep buying it? And with corporations gaining control over more of the world's fresh water, will access to clean drinking water one day become a privilege instead of a right? Stay with us, because what you're about to learn might change the way you see bottled water forever. The perception of bottled water as a superior product is a carefully orchestrated marketing illusion. Brands like Evian don't just sell water, they sell an aspirational image. A litre of Evian can cost multiple times more than an ordinary bottle of water. Fiji Water markets itself as an untouched, exotic product, using pristine landscapes in advertisements to suggest it is pure and premium. However, the truth is, most bottled water is just filtered tap water. Brands like Aquafina and Dasani openly acknowledge that their water comes from municipal sources, the same tap water available in homes. One of the most powerful psychological strategies in marketing is the placebo effect, convincing consumers that a higher price means higher quality, even when the product is virtually identical. Just as a branded painkiller and its generic equivalent contain the same ingredients, people assume bottled water is cleaner and healthier solely because it costs more. But in reality, most bottled water is just repackaged tap water. Historically, bottled water was considered a luxury item. Dating back to the 1700s, wealthy Europeans sought out natural mineral water for its supposed health benefits. During the Industrial Revolution, bottled water gained popularity as an alternative to contaminated municipal supplies. The bottled water industry was in decline until the 1970s, when the emergence of single-use plastic bottles sparked a marketing-driven resurgence, transforming bottled water into a multi-billion-dollar global industry. The bottled water industry is led by Nestlé, holding 20 to 25% of the global market, with brands like Pure Life, Perrier, and Poland Spring, operating in over 130 countries. Coca-Cola follows with 10 to 15%, leveraging its 200-country network through brands like Dasani and Smartwater. PepsiCo captures 10 to 12%, mainly through Aquafina and Life WTR, while Danone holds 8 to 10%, dominating the premium segment with Evian, Volvic, and Badois in Europe and beyond. Overall, the industry is positioned for robust expansion, driven by evolving consumer preferences and global demand. As of 2024, the global bottled water market was valued at approximately $348.64 billion, reaching an estimated $509.18 billion by 2030. This growth is fueled by increasing health consciousness, demand for convenient hydration, and concerns over tap water quality. For decades, Nestlé and other bottled water corporations have been accused of ruthlessly exploiting natural water sources. In California's Strawberry Creek, Nestlé extracted an astonishing 45 million gallons of water, bottling it under the Arrowhead brand. Despite operating on federal land, the company paid virtually nothing for this resource while generating billions in revenue from bottled water sales. In Michigan's Osceola Township, Nestlé faced legal battles after attempting to expand its water extraction operations. Environmental advocates and local officials opposed Nestlé's efforts to increase pumping to 400 gallons per minute, arguing that it would deplete groundwater supplies and harm nearby wetlands. Despite strong community opposition, Nestlé persisted in trying to secure long-term extraction rights at a fraction of the cost local residents paid for municipal water. In Ontario, Canada, Nestlé has been accused of extracting 3.6 million litres of water daily from sources near the Six Nations Reserve, while Indigenous communities in the area struggled with inadequate access to clean drinking water. Activists argue that Nestlé's ability to secure extraction rights in regions facing water insecurity highlights the systemic injustices of water privatization. Nestlé has a long history of lobbying government agencies, hiring former regulators, and securing extraction rights at minimal costs. A key example of regulatory capture occurred when the FDA initially ruled that Nestlé was bottling groundwater instead of spring water, a label distinction that could have harmed its sales. Nestlé also targets economically struggling communities with small-scale donations, such as funding local infrastructure, schools, or community fairs, to gain goodwill while securing long-term water extraction rights. In Evart, Michigan, Nestlé extracts 1.1 million litres of water daily for just $200 per year. While local residents face water shortages and high water bills. However, Nestlé is not the only corporation engaging in large-scale water extraction and sales. Other major players in the bottled water industry, such as Coca-Cola, Dasani, PepsiCo, Aquafina, and Danone, Evian, Volvic, also extract vast amounts of water globally. Coca-Cola has faced criticism for depleting groundwater reserves in India, particularly in regions like Rajasthan and Kerala, where its bottling plants were accused of contributing to local drought conditions and leaving nearby communities with reduced access to water. Coca-Cola's Plachimada bottling plant in Kerala extracted 1.5 million litres of water per day, leading to a severe decline in local groundwater levels. Protests by local farmers and activists ultimately led to the plant's closure in 2004. But the damage to water supplies remained. The company also extracts water from various US states, Mexico, and parts of Latin America, where similar concerns have been raised about environmental impact. Similarly, PepsiCo's Aquafina brand openly admits that its water is sourced from public water supplies, filtered, and then resold at significant markups. The company extracts water from municipal sources across North America, Europe, and parts of Asia, where critics argue that it repackages ordinary tap water as a premium product. In India, PepsiCo has also been accused of extracting excessive amounts of groundwater for its bottled water and beverage operations, leading to community protests. The stark contrast between corporate access to clean water at minimal costs and the struggles of local communities paints a disturbing picture of corporate greed and governmental neglect. As multinational corporations continue to extract and sell bottled water at immense profits, by delaying regulations, securing long-term extraction rights, and misleading consumers, will clean drinking water remain a human right, or will it become a luxury controlled by multinational corporations? One of the biggest misconceptions promoted by bottled water companies is that their product is inherently safer and cleaner than tap water. Corporations invest millions of dollars in fear-based marketing campaigns, convincing consumers that tap water is unsafe, unregulated, or even contaminated. However, in most developed nations, municipal tap water is heavily regulated and often meets stricter safety standards than bottled water. In the United States, for example, tap water falls under the jurisdiction of the Environmental Protection Agency. On the other hand, bottled water is overseen by the Food and Drug Administration, which has weaker regulatory requirements, allowing companies to self-report their own testing results and conduct quality checks far less frequently than municipal water plants. Despite these scientific realities, many consumers still believe that bottled water is the superior choice. A psychological tendency where people exaggerate rare dangers while ignoring more common risks. Bottled water corporations exploit this fear, using evocative language like pure, filtered, and spring-sourced, along with imagery of pristine mountain streams and untouched glacial springs to suggest an unmatched level of cleanliness and safety. This perception is reinforced through media coverage of water crises, such as the Flint water crisis, making consumers even more skeptical of tap water, despite the fact that most public water systems in the US consistently meet or exceed health and safety standards.
The Flint water crisis is a stark example of what happens when government fails its people in every single way.
By and large, it was a crisis of betrayal and loss of trust and trauma and anger and guilt and anxiety, and all those things can lead to poor outcomes.
When Fiji Water ran a controversial ad that took a direct jab at Cleveland's tap water, boasting that Fiji is not bottled in Cleveland. The city of Cleveland responded by conducting independent lab tests, comparing their municipal water with Fiji's bottled product. The results were shocking. Cleveland's tap water contained fewer contaminants than Fiji water, which was found to have higher levels of arsenic, a toxic chemical linked to serious health risks. The arrogant branding attempt backfired, exposing the reality that expensive bottled water is often not as pure as advertised. This incident serves as a perfect case study of how bottled water companies manufacture false narratives of superiority. The mere exposure effect plays a fundamental role in why consumers repeatedly purchase bottled water. The more often people see a brand, the more they trust it. Companies flood the market with advertisements, placing their products strategically in supermarkets, TV commercials, sporting events, and social media influencer promotions. As a result, when faced with a shelf full of bottled water options, consumers instinctively reach for familiar brands like Nestlé Pure Life, Coca-Cola's Dasani, PepsiCo's Aquafina, and Danone's Evian and Volvic over lesser-known alternatives. Premium bottled water brands are deliberately positioned at eye level, ensuring they are the first thing shoppers notice. Sleek packaging, minimalist labels, and claims of purity reinforce the illusion of superior quality. Much like how airlines charge different fares for the same seat, bottled water brands create an illusion of exclusivity. Similarly, high-end grocery stores exploit consumer psychology by promoting bottled water with labels like organic, artisanal, or glacial sourced. This strategy preys on perceived value rather than actual benefits, triggering impulse purchases. Coca-Cola, for example, positions Dasani as purified water with enhanced minerals, while Aquafina by PepsiCo emphasizes its advanced filtration process, despite being sourced from municipal tap water. Danone's Evian and Volvic use premium branding to market their water as naturally superior, often at significantly higher prices. This widespread perception manipulation makes bottled water a habitual choice for many consumers. Despite the fact that tap water in many developed countries undergoes stricter regulatory testing than most bottled brands, the privatization of water is one of the most alarming corporate takeovers in modern history. Former Nestlé CEO Peter Brabeck once infamously stated that water is not a human right, but a grocery product that should be privatized.
Dass Wasser zu einem öffentlichen Recht erklärt wird. Das heißt, als Mensch sollten Sie einfach Recht haben, Wasser zu haben. Das ist die eine Extremlösung.
Turning a basic necessity into a luxury commodity available only to those who can afford it. The mega corporations continue expanding their control over freshwater sources, often at the expense of local populations facing droughts, pollution, and unaffordable water costs. The battle over water privatization is far from over. Around the world, activists, environmentalists, and local communities are fighting back, demanding that water remains a publicly controlled resource instead of a corporate asset.
Scores of residents from areas north of Durban staged a protest on the steps of City Hall against prolonged water cuts and frequent power outages. Holding up posters and banners that read "Water is life," residents of Phoenix, Verulam, Otongati, and La Mercy.
One thing, however, remains undeniably clear. Water should remain a public resource, not a corporate product. The question is, will the world take action before it's too late? If you want more content that uncovers the hidden truths behind industries, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay informed.